Hello, good morning, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, the channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news. Guys, I'm Owen James, your host, and this is Tuesday, the 21st of December. We are fast, obviously approaching the end of January and the end of the transfer window. It closes on the 3rd of January, the 3rd of February. Sorry, we don't go back in time. We are not Martin McFly and Doc Brown. So we're going to talk a little bit here in this video this morning about a departure from the club that looks pretty much nailed on and how it's very sad really for the player and for the club. We'll touch also, of course, on what is going on in the January transfer window, or the complete lack of what is going on in the January transfer window. And we're also going to touch, obviously, on the Scottish Cup draw, which took place last night after Dundee overcame their Dundee neighbours 1-0 at Dens Park. Dundee United apparently unlucky not to get something against them and actually probably beat them, but Dundee forcing their way through to the next round of the competition. So the draw took place, and this was the draw. So this was it. This was the game. These are the games. Sorry, this will be played the weekend of the 8th and 9th of February, which is, for those of you who are counting, directly before the next Old Firm at Parkhead. So the ties, let's run through them all, and we'll obviously mention Rangers and talk about the Rangers tie shortly, and a few worries I've got as regards that tie, not towards not beating Queen's Park, but for other things. So we've got obviously Ayr United versus Hibs. The informed Hibernian obviously travels to Ayr United. Scott Brown's Ayr United, but of course they have Cole McKinnon, the Rangers player. So a bit of Rangers interest in that game. Celtic at home to Wraith Rovers. You've got to say, unfortunately, they will easily walk that one. The only all Premiership tie of the round, which is St Mirren Hearts. Again, another interesting game. St Mirren a bit consistently inconsistent, and Hearts again consistently inconsistent. So who knows who goes through and what type of game we will see at St Mirren's ground, which I keep forgetting the name of. Rangers v Queen's Park is the tie, another home tie for Rangers, and Celtic at home as well. So yet another Glasgow nightmare for the place. No doubt one will be Saturday, one will be Sunday. Livingston versus Cove Rangers, Aberdeen versus Dunfermline, St Johnstone versus Hamilton Accies, Dundee versus Airdrieonians. So that is your 5th round cup draw. And look, before we kind of talk a little bit about the Rangers tie, if you were asking me to predict it, if you were asking me to sit and put a bit of a coupon on, or to go down the panel, the pools, and pick it, I would say Hibs to go through, Celtic to go through, St Mirren to go through, Rangers to go through, Livy to go through, with Robbie Fraser obviously playing for them, Aberdeen to go through. Hamilton, I'm going to fancy to beat St Johnstone, and Dundee to beat Airdrie. That is what I would predict anyway. Rangers obviously coming up against Queen's Park. Again, lower league opposition, a chance to, blood some of the youngsters again. Now, I've got to say that, as much as I agreed with Martin from the Rabbles tweet that he put out last night, I was pretty horrified by the thought of it. Martin put out Queen's Park at home. Probably the next time we'll see Bailey Rice. I think Martin's probably right. Probably will be the next time we see young Bailey Rice and Finlay Curtis and Zach Lovelace. And I've got to say, sitting here in the cold light of the day after that game on Sunday, and looking back at that game on Sunday, I know we've got to put all the performances and all the ways that players played in the perspective of it was Fraserburgh, a pretty average team in the Highland League. This is not a team that strikes fear into hearts. This is Fraserburgh, but you've got to say that a lot of the play from Finlay Curtis, from Zach Lovelace, and from Bailey Rice was absolutely excellent. In terms of their positioning, the way they read the game, the way they took players on, their distribution of the ball was very good. All of this shows that these are good young players, and I really genuinely hope that the next time we see Bailey Rice or Finlay Curtis or Zach Lovelace is not against Queen's Park, that we see them again in the league at some point. Finlay Curtis for me would be a better bet on the left-hand side than Bairami playing out there, than Matondo playing there. Any of those players, I would love to see Finlay Curtis get a go. The lad looks absolute quality. And for any of you come back at me and go, he was only playing Fraser, but I'm talking about his technique, his distribution of the ball, his heading of the ball, his work rate, his work ethic. These are all positives, and it doesn't matter if you're playing Fraserburgh, the Dog and Duck, or Celtic. If you've got that talent, which he quite clearly has, when we've seen that from other games, in the youth team and in the reserves and things like that, the B team. The lad has talent. The lad has real talent. And like I said, if the next time we see him, he's not until this game against, against Queen's Park, it's a very sad indictment of the manager. And I think, if the next time we actually see Bailey Rice or Zach or Finley get minutes is in this game, and we don't see them get minutes against some of the absolute pish there is in this league at the moment, I think it would really be a sad indictment for the manager, and questions would severely need to be asked for the manager. Why are you not playing these young players? Why are you not giving the opportunity to play? And he can't come up about, that he wants to obviously keep the pressure on Celtic, because that's done and dusted. The league's done. For me, the league is done. For me, Celtic are going to win the league. For me, it's about playing for the Scottish Cup, trying to get as far as possible in Europe, getting something in, that's what we're looking for. That's what we need. And, the youngsters, you might as well blood the youngsters. Give the youngsters a chance. These are good young players. Right, let's touch on a bit of January transfer window, shall we now? Look, it is the 21st of January. As yet, again, only one signing through the door. 22-year-old Rafael Fernandez, who joins from Lille, a player who has hardly played. He's 22 years old, hardly made any first-team appearances. A little bit concerning, shall we say, but I wish the lad all the best. I'm not saying he's shite. I'm not saying he's anything like that. I'm not casting any aspersions on it. I'm merely reporting what I have observed. Fernandez, obviously, I think will be a good player eventually for us. Probably not what we need at this point in time, but still a good player in time for us. If we secure a permanent deal, of course, because he is only on loan. Look, what happens next? Where are the players? Where are the arrivals? That is the big question for me. Why no striker as yet? Danio's out injured. Dessers hopefully is on his way out. We've got to hope that's going to happen. Where are these other players that we've kind of have been promised? Where are these players to come in and supplement this squad? And I think, to me, there's a very real worry that we will only make one signing in this window, and it will be a defender on loan, a 22-year-old defender with little experience, which is really not the only thing we need at this point. So for me, it's a concern where we're at the moment. Now, we know, obviously, as well, that Cole McKinnon's gone out on loan, Christian Webster's gone out on loan, Robbie Fraser's gone out on loan. And in terms of Robbie and Cole, these are players who have played first-team minutes. Now, there's a lot of talk in the media, both here in England and in Scotland, of a possible departure. And that is former Rangers starlet Alex Lowry. Look, when Alex was coming up through the Rangers youth ranks in the academy, he was seen as being one of the most talented, promising players, his generation. A player who, could really make a difference. A player who, has skill and quality and the ability to unlock doors. And he just looked a great player. And he was predicted for massive things. And at one point, I think even Manchester United and Arsenal were looking at him, looking at the quality the lad had. But, it's kind of all fallen apart to some extent. With Alex Lowry, he's never really lived up to that potential. He's always fallen away. It's frustrating because the lad's got bags of potential, and looks like he'll end up, playing in League One in England, after playing for one of the biggest clubs in world football. So talk is that Wycombe Wanderers of League One are interested in securing the services of Alex Lowry. Wycombe Wanderers are second in the league, looking for automatic promotion, and adding a quality start like Alex Lowry could really help them kick on for promotion. Now, look, in terms of Alex, like I said, I find him incredibly frustrating. I know he's gone through a very difficult time in terms of his family, in terms of the whole family situation, and I get that. Because his mum's died, and it is sad. It is really sad. And there's been questions about his attitude and his training ground performance. As well as that, of course, we've got a situation where Alex had been given some limited opportunities at the start of the season, in pre-season, and he really didn't. He really looked lost in a lot of the games and failed to live up to his potential. I mean, he got the start against Birmingham and never really did a thing in that game. So, you can kind of see why, along with the fact that his contract ends in the summer, that we would want to get rid of him. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is, when a lot of young players are having to leave and not always on loan. I mean, I support them going out on loan, but kind of leave on a permanent basis to to get any first team minutes. That's really sad. And Alex has all the potential in the world and all the talent in the world, and has never brought it forward. And I really feel for him. I really do. And you perhaps got to start to question, what is it that stops him from, really progressing? What is it that stops him from becoming that player that we all think he's got inside of him? Is it the coaching? Is it his attitude? What is it in particular? Is it the way he's used? How is it that he isn't fulfilling his potential at the club? Is that down? Like I said, is that down to the youth coaches? So it's a really sad one. And obviously he's off to Wycombe Wanderers, and we wish him all the very best. Of course we do. Wish him every success in England. But time moves on. The club moves on. No one player is bigger than the club. We know that, and I'm not saying that Alex Lowry is. But what I'm saying is that it's an interesting question, isn't it? How it's never worked out for him. Really interesting question. So if Alex Lowry leaves, is that a cost to bring in a replacement? And again, you've got to ask another question here: where are all where are the replacements for these players that are leaving? And I know some of them are only leaving on loan, but still, you need players to supplement the squad. And Fernandez is the only one that's come in so far, which is not fantastic business. Yes, the window runs to the 3rd of February, so yes, anything can happen. In the next 14 days or 13 days, or however many days it is to the win to the how many. It's worrying. It's worrying, the lack of movement, the lack of signings. And my real worry is that we end up with only Fernandez, and that's it, no more, nothing else. And that for me would be a massive concern. Particularly with a very packed program upcoming in the Cup and the League. I mean, you look at it, we've got Man United on Thursday in the Europa League before a Sunday trip, a tough away trip to Dundee, home to Union, home to Ross County, away to Hearts, home to St Mirren, away to Killy, home to Motherwell, and then I think I think the one after that is the Celtic game. So that is starting to loom large as well. So look, I really hope the Rangers can get some players in before the transfer window closes, and something happens in terms of that, really boost them, because it's not good at the moment, is it? Not good at all. Well, guys, thank you for watching the morning news video here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, on the way out, please smash the like, sub, do all that great stuff for me and help the channel to keep on growing. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember, we are the people.